So for months on end, we've covered the demonstrations, the placards, the raw anger, and the quiet desperation of about 6,000 or even more teachers and nurses who have been employed by the state, posted to schools and health facilities across the country, and then asked to work, in fact, expected to work for so many hours, in so many classes, for several months without a single pesewa of salary. So the government is proudly touting the payment of 2 categories of teacher allowances, planned for November 2025, issuing statements and counting achievements. Yet it has failed, or perhaps refused, to issue a single clear formal communication on the status of the 10-month salary arrears owed to these thousands of teachers and nurses. And silence in this context is not neutral. It is very violent. Schools are now on vacation. The country is on festive mode. People are preparing to make merry. Yet somewhere in this country, thousands I should say, men and women, are gnashing their teeth, dodging calls from people they promised to pay.
Abusia mamena wasenema wakwaba ye broda bakuma we journalist ewo Joy Prime watutu bi Ediamani His Excellency John Dramani Mahama wone honorable Helena Idrisu ediba asem na ye broda yi oka ye broda yi wose His Excellency John Dramani Mahama tama oba aban mu no na teachers ewo allowances bia na nadodan kokufuado ono na wode baaye a November bia na omo etua last month eye November no montimi antua sa sika no na monkoma reason mo say eye technical HSB na controller for enya yentia sa allowance montimi antua ti mo share bo say December de ken ane ken mo betua sa sika no na se sika no akatua e baaye na se mo tua mo de krata ababonten e de gimudin say sa allowance na November montua no se e de mo tua enti Ghana for yembo yensem emfa ema mo e na wo say hey munyina ho na muntie de e bayi ade na we die mo kasa ede afa ho na nkrofo nurses any teachers of watchla de more than 10 months obi de 11 months obi de 1 year ebi nso de 10 months eno mutua omuka only 1 month na imagine say obi akwakọ handan obi atua light bill obi atua water bill waye adwuma saa 10 months and over na nakatua kwakoba only 1 month sasika no nipa no onfa enye den ade na eno de mo kasa emfa saa asem no eho na weyi a eye ade a ehyem se wose mutua na se muamo no ingredients montimi antua in November na se December maba betua mo se Ghana for yembo yensem emfa mamona yembreda no bo afu yi pa watutu bi Ediamani His Excellency John Dramani Mahama one Helena Idrisu Education Minister ebekwa kotie ne nsem na oka no na ansa na no yenko A+ nchen yenko koje enkomo bi emra A+ na ye interview wo Joy Prime so no Joy ni sunsu a ye bisa no se Kwame His Excellency John Dramani Mahama na mamu ohuru ni sei enkofo bi no ka se onko tete na wadwe nkyere e wo saa asem no ho ene de na Kwame A+ yi o mo ano kan se His Excellency John Dramani Mahama ono nko na wo ye president a waba from 1992 the first year yante scandal ba kumpo na ye say bisa no si ye se wo nkasa e wo parliament na da ye kodu ho a na ehu aka wana Kwame A+ wo yi nkrofo mo criticize no say o parliament o nkasa no wo yi wo mo ano de be asem e na wo kan e de kire wo mo yentie Kwame A+ embra na si ye koba ye broda na owo Joy Prime a wo no so odi nkombo e de akire His Excellency John Dramani Mahama one honorable Helena Idrisu no medene dia no so ebeto so ediama na binu ya answer na ebehwe sa video no unya unsubscribe ya na wa subscribe na wode aka ho na bibiara aye kama wodi kan subscribe so meka senya kopon unshira meda wase ye video no emra ye koba ye beto so.
This is the first time in so many years that we have a government that has not encountered a single corruption issue in so many years. Not in so many years, not one.
It's not early days.
This is go back from Kufuor's time, where we had Malam Issa, from Professor Mills, from to Akufo-Addo. Go back.
Did it happen in the first 12 months?
I said you go back and do your own research. You get just too many issues. This is the first time. This is what we call resetting. I'm not a fan of any party. And when I say that, I know where I'm going. you can't even stop me. Like, oh, A+, you went on MFS show and you were saying, so this guy, you can't do anything about it. You understand? So it's not because, oh, I'm a fan of NDC. No, I'm a fan of John Mahama.
Okay.
And I think he's a great guy. And I think that he's a great leader. And he has put his people in check.
At what point did you think that he's a great leader? In this last 12 months or ever since he started his political
After they did us the juju and we came out of it.
They did what?
John Mahama was building this country. And we were convinced to believe that he was not the right person to be in power. And we voted against him in 2016. When he left power, that was when we realized what he was doing. That he's the first person in the history of this country to build a port after Kwame Nkrumah built Tema Port. That he's the first person in the history of this country to build something like Rage Hospital, to build a Bank of Ghana hospital, to start building a military hospital in Kumasi, to remove traffic from Circle. People take it for granted. Circle was a place that I never wanted to go, to Circle, that roundabout there. Today, we drive on the Kwame Nkrumah interchange, and we even forget that some few years ago, many kids today don't remember that, some don't even know that some few years ago, Circle was a no-go area. Remove traffic from Circle.
When did all of this hit you? When did all of
After
this hit you?
John Mahama left power, we wanted something better. And we believed that Akufo-Addo was going to be better. As we speak now, Akufo-Addo is the worst president that we have ever had in the history of Ghana.
What's your measurement too?
That is me, my measurement. You can do your own measurement. I will respect that. But if you ask me, Akufo-Addo is the worst because we believe that Akufo-Addo, and even Akufo-Addo and his people know that he is the worst. My measurement and their measurement is the same. because you see, if you have somebody that you believe that has gone through the mill and can do the job and the person fails, even if the person and John Mahama did the same, we will say that you have failed.
Oh, okay.
Yes, because we believe that this guy, looking at his upbringing, where he has come from, his exposure, whatever, everything he told us during the campaign, if the fundamentals are weak, the city will expose you. So we believe that this guy is going to do better. Under Akufo-Addo, the currency was worse. Our currency was worse. And during the crisis years, 2022, 2023, 2024, it was the worst that the city has experienced in the history of this country. Because there are rules. You can't just start talking.
It's not because you don't speak good English. Have you heard that about yourself?
I don't care.
But when you heard that about yourself, did it shock you?
It makes me happy. Your MP has spoken all the good English in the world, and I'm telling you that 21,000 acres is equal to 85 million square meters, and I can tokenize it and build a whole new city. You can go and speak English. That is your problem. As for me, what I know is that my IQ is on a certain level. Like the way I think, when I look at people, you know, like I come on your show today, I wanted to wear a cap and a shorts. Like, I feel like I'm a different person. Like, I feel like me and you, we don't think the same. It's just that I'm a human being, so I accept you how you are. But I wanted to I'm going for another meeting, and that's why I'm all dressed up like this. I wanted to wear shorts and a cap. You understand? I don't want you to even like me. I don't want you to think that I think the way you think. I want you to see that this guy is a very different person. I have a vision to build a whole new city, and you are talking about speaking English. When Pharaoh Kufu asked his people to build a pyramid, he didn't call English professors. When how do you call him? When they decided to build tunnels under the earth and put trains under the earth in England, they didn't call English professors. When they started to build the Great Walls of China, they didn't call English professors. They called smart people, people who have a certain level of IQ.
I bet you have given answers to people who are quite concerned.
So for months on end, we've covered the demonstrations, the placards, the raw anger, and the quiet desperation about 6,000 or even more teachers and nurses who have been employed by the state, posted to schools and health facilities across the country, and then asked to work. In fact, expected to work for so many hours, in so many classes, for several months without a single pesewa of salary. And even that simple fact alone should shame any serious republic, because unpaid labor by the state is not an administrative error. It is exploitation. The debate about whether they had clearance or not even found its way onto the floor of Parliament with complete legal gymnastics, bureaucratic finger-pointing, and then moral evasions. Yet through all that noise, one thing remained painfully clear. These recruitments were not redundancies. They were not idle bodies. They were warming benches. They were teachers standing in front of overcrowded classrooms and nurses tending to overflowing wards, serving thousands of students and patients daily, filling real gaps in education and healthcare systems, gaps that all of us know are still dangerously wide and in need of even more hands, not fewer. So the government is proudly touting the payment of 2 categories of teacher allowances planned for November 2025, issuing statements and counting achievements. Yet it has failed or perhaps refused to issue a single clear formal communication on the status of the 10-month salary arrears owed to these thousands of teachers and nurses. And silence in this context is not neutral. It is very violent. Schools are now on vacation. The country is on festive mode. People are preparing to make merry. Yet somewhere in this country, thousands I should say, men and women, are gnashing their teeth, dodging calls from people they promised to pay, replaying assurances made by government on radio and television and in Parliament, and wondering how honest work somehow became personal punishment. This is not just a payroll problem, fellow Ghanaians. It is a moral failure, because when a state assures citizens that they have been cleared, validated, and approved, and then pays them 1 month out of a year's work without explanation, it teaches a dangerous lesson that government promises are temporary, that public service is thankless, and that sacrifice will always be met with silence. These are teachers shaping young minds and nurses saving lives. They are not some faceless statistics on spreadsheets, and every month they go unpaid. The state quietly tells them their labor is optional, that their suffering is acceptable, and their dignity has become negotiable. And no country that treats its essential workers this way can then seriously claim to be building a just or humane society. Fellow Ghanaians, this story is not over, and it must not be allowed to fade into another forgotten scandal. Because unpaid labor by the state is not just bad governance. It is an indictment of our collective conscience. And until these arrears are fully paid and honestly explained, no talk of reforms, allowances, or appreciation of teachers and nurses should be taken seriously at all. It is Christmas. These are people with families. They need to celebrate. They need the money they've worked for. These are not freebies. They're not free monies. It is what they've toiled for. And so the government needs to make good the promises it made.
Yes, Kwaku videos no aba. Na said ye medikan ekan ye no ye brother na oye adwuma e wo dwe pram na asem na o ka no. Se enye political spectacle bi e na ehye na se wo be ka no kredi a. E wo se ye nyina ye bona baso. Because as sika yi a His Excellency John Dramani Mahama watria e dia ma achilechilefo no. Damages are wakoso no, because not that money was supposed to be paid in November. In a warranty, achilechilefo a omukwa ahuchilemu because of one promise. Says Sikaro e buy Kabiala money no obeko kutria. Says Kanama. It ye bimu kura no, meje de say achi obokura. But in all no, this month His Excellency watria na se watria we so I was see a boy ensem edema wana e your responsibility and our fulfilling. But said ye bimu cancer why ade no in some way we to because sanka watria ye bekasa but obia ain't me nyanwe. Yes. It's a watria, you na baso, but the brother so all can. No cre, and I come April watching na be, na me by beer, meneno nya be, and he said His Excellency John Dramani Mahama uncle for the third term, a dear internal constitution ewo. Ye practice democracy. But we let me say into say His Excellency John Dramani Mahama, o free mu na nyamempangu bibia sa ANC. NDC and I say Ghana, ye nya wo bibie mu a we competent to say His Excellency John Dramani Mahama na. And this ye koso say na ye chle say NDC mu no nipa bia enimu biem a wo betumi associate His Excellency John Dramani Mahama. And this atem no de ono anka so babonten was say constitution no permit no ema no enye sa. But ngofo binom egu akire e na chere say omo pushi no. But we are in this country yenim say bia emre to amre so no. Obesesa na adwen dia only time will tell. And ngofo mo kan say Kwame April so call parliament on to me enkasa no. The reason why it's here okwa on kasa eno ena okan menua mame na wase se wa hwe video e dia ba wie mesra unya unsubscribe ya ansa na yebeko no subscribe na wodan ho no na wa kreke so na boma bibiala aye kama odi kan subscribe so meka se yakopon onsira wo pai mame ba wo esi me ne wo ebesi sisi ye di makro bye bye